Hello everyone, it's Kevin Borras and Bob McQueen again. We're going to be talking about the smart mobility revolution, not just the subject, also that's the title of Bob's forthcoming book. Bob, in November we spoke with Shafir El Khaili and Ammar Safi from Dubai about what the smart mobility revolution meant in the Middle East. But what are we going to be talking about today in terms of your book? Because first of all, do we not need to define what smart mobility is? Because if you asked 100 people across the world, what is smart mobility? You probably get 98 different answers. So in terms of your book, what is smart mobility and how are you covering it?
Well, first of all, Kevin, we've decided to call it a BOK and not a book. It's a body of knowledge, and it will be a printed book, digital versions, but there'll also be immersive publishing on the web from H3B Media. We're under negotiation with a publishing house for the printed book, but also virtual roundtables and professional development programs. So it's a multi-channel approach. So that's why we dropped the O, and it sounds a bit weird, but we're calling it Smart Mobility Body of Knowledge. And I have to recognize the Project Management Institute for inventing that. They have the PM BOK. So, and what is smart mobility? Well, essentially, it's not stupid or dumb mobility. It's being smart about applying technology, especially emerging technologies, but it's also taking the full advantage of the challenges while avoiding the opportunities, avoiding the, is that the right way around? No. Taking full advantage of the opportunities while avoiding the challenges.
Yes.
So maybe it'll end up going the other way if we don't get it right. That's why we need a body of knowledge, right?
Right.
So yeah. So I think that we think the time is right for a body of knowledge to inform people to take the right decisions when it comes to this, to make them aware of the possibilities, and also start developing strategies for avoiding some of the challenges. And the working title for the book is The Smart Mobility Revolution, How to Get What You Want and Avoid What You Don't Want. And that kind of sums up what we're trying to do.
Yes, it's who, what, when, how, why, and where. So in terms of smart mobility, where do you start? What's the first chapter of those 6? What's the first approach?
Well, Rudyard Kipling, you know, I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what and where and when and how and why and who. So that's how we plan to take answers to the book, in the book, like that. What is smart mobility? We kind of covered that already, but we're also talking about, well, now that you know about it, what should you do? That's another what, you know, how do you get on with it? And then there's a how of, you know, how do I take advantage of the opportunities?
So in terms of readership, anyone who writes a book has a reader in mind, really, or a group of readers in mind. Who is going to get the most out of this? I'm going to call it a book because book sounds odd. It's a body of knowledge, but it's still to me a book. Who's going to get the most out of this publication?
Well, you realize when we do the second edition, it'll be a book, right?
Yes.
So, well, we have 3 primary audience groups in mind, Kevin. The public sector, the public sector practitioners who have the job of harnessing what's available and stewarding public funds. The private sector who are trying to sell us solutions and trying to communicate to the public sector about what can be done. And academia, who have a strong role to play as the independent, neutral advisors, again, on what can be done, what can't be done, what works and what does not work. So those are the 3 primary groups we have in mind when we're writing the book.
So so we're going to be doing these on a regular basis, Bob. What's the next subject we're going to cover? So we're looking at what happens after that? Well,
I think the next subject, and whether we do this in a logical order or not really doesn't matter, but people are obsessed and highly interested in technology. So I think what we should do next is talk about some of the technologies that are involved in the smart mobility revolution. You know, there's a lot of discussion from the World Economic Forum about the 4th industrial revolution, which is a convergence of different technologies causing radical and dramatic change, which is what the smart mobility revolution is about as well. So we want to talk about some of the technologies that are driving this. And we want to make people understand not how they work, but what they do. You know, I often think when you're sitting watching the TV of an evening, you're not trying to figure out how it works. You're looking at the content.
Yep.
So we need to do the same with the technologies. Let's figure out what are going to be the outcomes and what does the thing actually do in terms of safety, efficiency, and enhanced user experience.
Fine. Well, we'll look forward to doing it in the near future. But before we sign off, your backdrop of this Zoom call has a transport-related theme. Do you want to tell the viewers exactly what that is a picture of? Because it's quite ominous for transport.
Right. Well, you know, I searched the web for something that was a nice, airy drawing office with engineers and draftsmen at desks doing stuff. And I found this one, put it up, and then I decided to do a little bit more research. And this actually is the drawing office for a Belfast shipbuilder called Harland and Wolff. And Harland and Wolff have one major claim to fame, and that is they designed and built the Titanic.
Yes.
So I thought, well, that's kind of ominous. It's kind of sad, but I've decided to keep it because it's a salutary reminder that you shouldn't be boastful about technology. They told us this ship was unsinkable and it sank. So any statements we make about technology have to be based on sound, truth, hard fact, and be robust, and not just be something that a salesman would make up.
Perfect. Well, great way to stop. So join us again in a couple of weeks' time. We're going to be going through the chapters of the book one by one, and we're looking at exactly what the content is, how we get there. Again, the idea of who reads this book, what you get out of it. That's the important thing. But I'm going to have to get away from calling it a book. It is a body of knowledge, B-O-K. So
the body of knowledge, and it's also going to be the body of knowledge, Kevin, because we have evergreen parts of it which need to go in a book. They need to be put in as a monument. They're best practices. They're things that don't change. They're things that stand the test of time.
Yeah.
But there's also topical stuff as technology changes, as people learn new ways to apply the technology, as we learn new business models. And the topical stuff will be the immersive publishing, the virtual roundtables, the material that will bring the whole thing to life.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Bob. Well, join us again shortly, and you can join us as we plot the course of the smart mobility revolution. Thank you.